Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and welcome back to our final chat of ApocTober 2024. We are going to be talking about The Morning Lasted All Day. For those of you that aren't keeping up, that means that we're talking about, again, we're using the Dream Academy's song, Life in a Northern Town, and we're using it for inspiration for our post-apocalyptic type of discussion. This time we're discussing character concepts and some of the ones that we would use in this type of a setting / situation. And we presented 3 different distinct settings last time when we were talking. So this time we will probably have 3 different distinct types of characters. So looking forward to that. Before we get into that, let's do Dan's introductions and announcements. So, I will start off like normal, and then per punishment for crime, Dan and Kristen will go next, with Skrat after that. So, I am Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads. You can check us out at innofplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com. It has all of the links to our different things. It has the links to our different things. We've got YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Subscribestar, PayPal, Locals, and even a PayPal that's not on there. So that's the final time I have to do the pokey rap beat to my links per Skrat's type of request there. But that is that. And I don't have a whole lot of announcements. I might make a video at some point about how the Adventure Academia has been going, or went, would be a more accurate term, by the end of the year maybe, or maybe I'll do that in the year recap. We'll see. But nothing planned right now for that. I'm kind of reserving it. So, that's what I've got. What about Avenue Studios?
Hey everybody, Dan and Kristen from Avenue Studios. You can check us out on Rumble, YouTube, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Check out avenuestudios.media or our website that has all the links there to join the ever-growing forest. And we have, well, as of October, we will be in the midst of our DC-20 campaign, starring as one of the players, Eddie, the lead developer from DC-20, the man right alongside Dungeon Coach, making that system possible. He will be one of our players here. We'll be set in the world setting of our 5-year campaign, Bomb Squad, but in the future, after that campaign, what happens next? Find out in our DC-20 campaign. And other fun things going on. Of course, we will have already, at time of recording, we haven't done this, but playing nuts with the squirrel, Skrat. We'll be trying out Skrat's system, so check that out. And then also in October, just before Halloween, Wes from DM Tales will be running us through an Into the Odd adventure. He has already 11 of 15 floors done, so I don't know what we're in for, but hopefully you guys can check that out either live or watch the VOD later. But that's what we got going on.
Cool beans. All right, Skrat, what about you? They were just talking about you.
They were. It was so nice of them. So I don't have to do this part anymore.
Boom, with the swab glasses and everything.
So I am Skrat from A Squirrel Plays over on YouTube, and I make PowerPoint presentations essentially, but we call them videos, and they are about TTRPGs and some writing, and then the happy little overlap between those two when it happens. And I get to do the occasional TTRPG review. I think it's been a hot minute since I've done one. And let's see, this is at the end of October, so maybe a little bit after that, I'll have a homebrew one to review. As I've already said before, very, very excited to get into that because I got to play it. It was a lot of fun. But other than that, it's about all I do, other than poking other people to get them making what they want to make, be it other games or little add-ons for games that already exist, or I poke them a lot for drawing too, but that's mostly just because I want free labor.
Indeed.
No, I really like seeing what they come up with. I would like to have some artistic talent, but here we are.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
Talentless.
Oh, the life of a talentless hack. It's a life. It's a life.
I can draw stick figures.
But he's always got his nut obsession now to fall back on, his almond obsession. So
Yes.
yeah, I know you guys watch in the future for Skrats, whatever we call them.
Scrats, quacks, squacks.
Squats.
Scrat squacks.
I'm not even going to explain what that is.
You like candied almonds.
So
Candied almonds.
Sugar-coated goodness. Scrats,
Little
quacks.
cinnamon.
Cinnamon squacks.
Cinnamon squats.
Cinnamon squacks.
Get those nuts in your hands and nibble at them.
All right. Well, before we get too much further distracted, that's Dan's introductions and announcements. Now it is time for our Levi's shout out, which in this one has been brought to us by Skrat. It's Tales from Elsewhere. This is, let me check again. He's at 675 still. Check out his channel. He has some TTRPG related stuff, and Skrat put him on to me, so we will see how that goes. Go ahead and put the Interplanar Crossroads or Skrat from A Squirrel Plays sent you, and we'll see how many comments he gets there and stuff like that. Maybe I think he's got I Made an RPG on here, so maybe sometime he'd like to come on one of the months that fits with the theme and stuff and promote some of that. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think we've got as far as our shout out. Anything else you need to mention before we dive into our discussion?
It'd be great if 100 people went over there and said that Skrat from Squackco sent him, and he'd just be so confused.
Skrat from Squackco.
Squacko.
That's in his settings somewhere, Squatco. It's in all of his settings now. Squatco. It's not Robco, Squatco. All right. Well, I guess that means it's time for us to grab our preferred beverage as we get into Kane's conversations. And you can join us too. Join us around the hearth. Pull up a chair. It's late October. It's probably a little chilly, so we might have a fire going. And we can discuss. The morning lasted all day. Skål. All right. Oh, chili squirrel.
He's got his beating stick with him.
Just put a little wire on there and he'd be right out of Walking Dead.
I don't know, he's got the Jane hat on, so he maybe like a little bit of mixed of the two settings. The beer setting and then the other setting. There you go.
I love it.
All right. So let's go ahead and do what we usually do. I'll throw out the points I have, and then we'll let Skrat decide who goes after that, so that I have my suspicions. I have my suspicions who he's going to say. But so Life in a Northern Town, again, is what we're using. Let me click over there. I read off some of the information in the last one, so I won't do that this time, about the song itself. We're doing character ideas, and I think it's important to tie the PCs to the town, like I mentioned before, and that makes it more personal. You're automatically going to play a more personal story in this one. It could be fun for playing an older character, or a couple of the ideas that were talked about last time that might work well, and especially with the the point about the person in the song is kind of telling that. So you could do two things. You could either be playing that, they could either be playing older characters, or they could be the ones interacting with the older character. Maybe that's the quest giver, the person that's kind of organizing things or just setting things to the side. So though I don't have a lot of points that are different from the last one, because I kind of touched into some of them. Let me see. With the retrofuturistic idea that I had, incorporating the winter there and such like that. The winter of 1963, and using that as a time period for your stuff. So I didn't have a lot of points to start off with for this one. I was going to build from inside. So who's going next, Skrat?
Let's see. I guess I could go first, because I don't have a whole lot, I don't think. We're talking about characters, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, see, I did so good last month. I had really cool character concepts. Dan wouldn't know, because he wasn't there.
Oh, and he can't fact check either right now because they haven't come out yet.
No, haven't come out yet.
So, a little more vague. So, last month they had, like, the characters had goals and purposes and stuff. And since we're on these walking factories that have to be upkept and all that, I figured. Okay, so let me back up. The goal is just surviving, right? Keeping the factory going. Don't get caught in the storm outside the factory, and don't let the storm get away. Yada yada yada. What you contribute to the factory would kind of be your class, right? So you have the protective type or the military type, so do the fight and deal with the bandits. Maybe even go out and do the gathering. Well, scavenger may even be a whole other class you get into, right? So the guys that eat off into the cities as you're driving by them or walking past them, as it were. Workers, planners, engineers, the guys that are more focused on keeping the thing running. And we had talked in the last one a little bit about having, well, you talked about bartering. That's what it was. You had that little window of opportunity. I was thinking, well, in my notes about how if a leg broke or something, you got that quick little window of opportunity to fix it and catch back up with the storm. So workers and engineers be good for that. Maybe not the engineers I've ever worked with, but ideally.
Mechanics might be.
Yes, mechanics.
Yeah.
But then I also thought it'd be kind of cool. Another layer you could add to those characters is some that got a little too much exposure to the storm, and they got little weird mutations to them, and you can do the thing I like to do is you get a pro and a con. Like, maybe your bones got really, really strong, and you're a lot more durable now, but you're a lot slower because they're heavier now or something like that. So, pros and cons. You can do lots of fun little mutations there. And as far as, like, goals and stuff, like I said, most of it's just staying alive, keeping the machine running, making sure everybody's fed, picking up other survivors as you go along. I also like the approach of trying to figure out where the storm came from, and I figured it was accidentally man-made because I had mentioned it was magical tech they were using in that setting. So somebody made an oops, but nobody really knows that, and they may find it out later. Or they might die first. You never know.
Might choke to death on their drink.
That was perfect timing.
They just can't handle the truth. They choke on it. Choke and die.
Oh, I wasn't fast enough on the mute.
Like I said, not as I couldn't think of anything as personal as the last one, like where they were really the setting and everything they were very much attached to last one.
Gotcha.
It's really cool that it's all connected to the factory, though. Like, and so it becomes that hive mind almost, sort of part of the ship, part of the crew, sort of thing. That
And Everything is awesome.
Or that.
Oh no.
Well, it
But
could
I
be like
mean,
that. I was imagining like an Aladdin character too, you know, and
Yeah.
riff raff street rat, you know, it's like to steal things.
A Disney movie inspiration? No.
No,
No.
I'm not a '90s kid.
Although it is a really cool thought that with these cities, there is a limit to the city because it's literally a factory moving. So that's a very interesting restriction. So there is a limit to the expansion
Mm-hmm.
at some point.
And there's multiples of them, so sometimes you might find an abandoned one that
Oh,
can repair it, or you can take one from somebody.
and I'm thinking
who's-
like there's like a foreman or something somebody who's in charge of each one.
Almost like an
Like,
overseer.
are they working together? Oh, an overseer, yeah.
Yeah.
Do they work together? Do they not work together? Is there going to be a new overseer if you've got a new empty factory, you know? Like,
Right.
do they? Yeah.
And what you were initially describing is very classic original Fallout, where you take the test and you see what you have, and that gives you purpose in the city.
Oh, that's
'Cause
true.
everyone has to have their
You're
purpose
special.
to keep the place running. You're special, yeah.
It does set up the possibility for characters of a wide range because you have people
Yeah.
that are going to need the intelligence, but you also have people that are going to need the brute strength of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It also brings up
beef.
it also brings up a problem with are you going to include capital punishment, or are they going to be more of a banishment is the worst thing type of situation? You have those
That's
options.
true. Block the plague.
Like a Harfoots. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they evil hobbits. But
And you drop
But
them
yeah.
off outside the storm, and then you end up with a whole faction called the Dropped, and they get their own factory.
Ooh, yes.
that's one of the problems with banishment and in general is that you don't actually stop the people permanently that are causing the problem. So the presumption is that they won't come back, but that's only when they have less numbers than you do.
Right.
So you bump into that problem in a post-apocalypse. So unless you could have it where there are lots of drop that finally got their own ship. So they're called the drop shipped.
Mm-hmm.
And they're constantly bugging you about Amazon deliveries. Like, I don't know. They went,
Oh, I love that. I love that.
he loves the Amazon deliveries.
That's so cool though too, because if you a classic way to set up one of the factories would be, and it's very Fallout vibe, is the everything's perfect in the factory. You go outside the factory, it is death. So to them, banishment is death. There's no way anyone can survive. But of course someone does, and then they could have this supernatural, like the Reavers from
Firefly.
Firefly, you know, where they seem inhuman. You just assume they're inhuman because there's no way anything else could survive out there.
Well, this is a Magitech setting, so
Right.
you could have psychically sensitive individuals that are able to know where the storms are. And if someone like that gets banished, they can avoid the storms. So they don't actually have to deal with any of the problems that the storm brings as long as they stay out of the way of them. But they get all the benefits of what the storm leaves behind, like materials and creatures that have mutated and stuff like that. And if they're already magically touched, you could make it where that type of a character could come back and cause problems for a city that banished them. You can have good cities, good factory cities and bad factory cities and stuff like that as far as where they fall on the scale. So it does present an opportunity, we'll say. And if factories need new blood, because, you know, sometimes you need new blood, you can have it where they occasionally pick somebody up. But you got to be careful about who you pick up. Got to be careful about new citizens in the cities.
Oof. Oh, that could be a good start to a campaign. Doing one of those trade-offs, so one or two of the players are maybe from a different different factory.
Can you imagine speed dating during the city interactions?
That's right. Yes.
Skrat does this whole game where this whole side game, like one night, it's all like speed dating between the two cities that are passing. Ships in the night is what he calls it.
Ships for shipping.
Oh.
Ships for shipping. All right.
That's cool.
Okay, well, what about y'all's setting about characters? You said you had an idea for your Elysium-inspired deal.
Yeah. Do you want to take the NPC idea?
I'm trying to remember what we came up with.
So we had the
Wait.
the NPC was like the junker guy, or maybe someone who runs like the junkyard, sort of, which is actually a very desirable thing on Earth. But he believes all the conspiracy theories. So about what the moon is. So taking anything from current day.
Assuming that people on Earth do not believe that people are on the moon.
Right.
Because it's been so long that they're like, nah, that's just a conspiracy. People are never up there, kind of thing.
It's right on the edge. I was thinking it'd be nice if it's right on the edge. Like, there's some people who do know there was at some point. There's no way of knowing if they survived or anything. And then there's other people that's like, nah, it's crazy. It's the moon.
Moon landing, are you nuts?
Yes, that's the thing.
Yes, exactly. But this guy picks up signals from the moon, and he's like, there are people up there.
I'm telling you guys, there's people up there.
So maybe they're
and
who start the mission. Maybe the person that sends them off.
kind of quest
He's
giver.
the old guy in the song.
He's the old guy in the song. Yes, he can remember.
And he
Maybe he
sends
has
them
the
off on this
android,
quest.
like we were talking about before
that's
too.
true.
Like he's got some of those memories.
The moon's hollow,
like
man. The moon's hollow. I'm telling you. They coated it with cheese. Block out the radiation.
Which funny if we did like the crazy Bioshock thing, there could be lizard people up there at this point.
The rich people did turn themselves into lizard folk so they could hibernate through with lower amounts of calories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cyborg lizards.
And I liked the idea for a PC
Cyborg
character.
lizard yuppies.
Is that the comment
Yuppies.
for today?
There you go. That's the comment. Cyborg lizard yuppies.
That's so good. For a PC character, I like the idea of the young kid who's just like embraced this guy and just believes everything he said, and his goal is to get to the moon. Like, I know people used to fly up into space. There was an elevator once. You got in a thing and you went up there, and like nobody believes them. Which technically it was true at a time, you know? And that's his dream. So he's trying to build the mech. And this young kid probably has like some kind of robot or animal companion. And that's like his goal, regardless of what the adventure is. His goal is, I will get to the moon, and I'll show everybody that, you know, old Billy from the junkyard is right.
Well, that could be the whole setup for the campaign. It's for the
Yes.
Right.
one shot, some shot campaign itself. Is that the kid is one of the PCs, and then all the rest of the parties around getting him up there, getting things done. That way, it doesn't have to be an escort mission, but it could be.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that idea of the crazy guy and then the like super optimistic, hopeful young kid who just like, yes, all of this, it sounds more like dreams and myth, and he just wants to believe that it's all real.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets up there and he gets Bioshock, and then he's much more disappointed.
It's gotta go dark, right? And the question is, will his optimism remain unsullied
No.
despite facing reality? Sorry.
Grow up, kid.
Mr. Cthulhu.
That's right. With Mr. Cthulhu, no. Cthulhu,
You
no.
won't be unchanged.
No one remains unchanged when they see what's on the dark side of the moon.
Oh, I love the shivers. Did you have any PCs you were thinking of? We didn't talk about that, but...
No, I don't think so. I mean...
You were thinking more on the moon. You were kind of attracted to what was going on up there.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was like, you could play somebody from the moon, and then you have a... I don't know.
I told you!
Maybe it's like a, how can we get these two civilizations to work together again kind of thing. So...
Could be a Wolf's Rain type of thing.
This one will help you. Follow this one. That's true. Maybe somebody got down and they're somehow down, but then they have to figure out how to get everybody back or how to get back.
Right, and no one believes it. You're not from the moon. That's ridiculous.
How they got down, I don't know.
Right.
They don't know either. They have to find out.
They don't know either, yeah.
Right.
Then you could do an escort mission, and all of a sudden, they're the big bad in the first place. Bum, bum, bum. It's not an escort mission at the end.
I was thinking it was like Superman, like parents, save them, I'm going to send them off to Earth, and, you know.
And then Adam takes it Ultraman. It was like...
Disney Cthulhu. No, I like both of that idea. It would be kind of fun to play it out and see what do the players want to do with it too. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
All right. We're almost at 30 minutes, so I'm going to let Skrat think about Skrat's final question in a second, but I'll go ahead and do some character idea for mine while he's thinking. For the one that I was thinking about, I like the idea of playing the older character. And whether you want to take the hopeful or the darker portion, I actually kind of lean towards the more hopeful one. Because it's in this post-apocalyptic, maybe he's the last of that kind of generation in the town. I can imagine that type of a character. He sees that there's the potential, if a few things go right, that it's going to work out. And he wants to do that. The evening's going to turn into... So the morning lasted all day, but then the song talks about evening turned to rain. Watch the water roll down the drain as we followed him down to the station. It's talking about the old man. They're following the old man down to the station. And the station, in this case, would be the old man. He's wrapping up his life. He's getting ready to go on that metaphorical train. And he's wanting to go out knowing that everything's going to be okay. And so that's what you're shooting for in this. It would probably be a one shot that's longer or a some shot that's shorter, because that would give you that nice little sweet spot of a few hours to tell a story of hope coming out of darkness in the post-apocalypse. And whomever is playing, it can either be the person, the PCs are interacting with a GM character, an NPC, or one of them could be playing the NPC that's the old man. And it'd be a nice one to interweave into another post-apocalyptic game that you're playing, where this is kind of the culmination, this is kind of the ending. You can feel that ending coming in the game, where they're starting to get to the point where they're about to finish up this post-apocalyptic game, this post-apocalyptic campaign, and you're like, we're going to send it out on that bittersweet note appropriate for the apocalypse. This NPC they've known it's just time. There's nothing left to do for him. It's just time. And he gets to slowly walk through that. They get to slowly walk through the memory lane, and he gets this final thing done for the town. Maybe for the NPCs personally. They're finally set. And then that moment comes. And they can all share that moment in that game. So that's kind of my idea.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
The mentor.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Skrat. That was my final. That was my thing I wanted to put in there before we got into the Skrat's final question. Do you got it?
Well, I was going to ask about satisfying endings in games.
No way.
Apocalyptic things, so on you.
Well, see, that can be. I've already answered then. So
Yeah.
So that's
Do you
Skrat's
remember-
question. That's Skrat's
Do
question.
you remember what the first question was? The first episode?
I don't.
It's been almost a month since we've done that, man.
Yeah. Right? A whole month.
Comment below.
The second one was about goals, right?
Second was about goals.
Okay. Dang it! Now I'm totally brain farting because I was going to ask it, and it slipped. Okay, so I was going to ask what was a satisfying ending, but you talked about that.
Well, Dan and them can also answer that.
That's true. I was going to, like, taking the setting I had, for example, what would you, as a player, consider to be a more satisfying ending? You know, figuring out a way to fix the storm, or just finding out that the storm was man-made and now you're stuck with it, or personal character goals, like that the storm's just kind of a backdrop, something you have to deal with. And you're expecting to deal with it forever, but your character has a personal journey to go on.
I would think there would be like you stopping the storms, the cities settle, and then those actually become cities. Where they are, where they end up.
Disney. I'm teasing you.
How's that Disney?
No, because it's like, to me, that's like that is the happy ending, which could be good. I think it depends on what you want to do with the campaign.
Well, they kind of have to like restart. I mean, you kind of have
Right,
your base
you're
of the
still-
city, but then
right.
you're able to get off and farm and do all this stuff that you weren't able to do before.
That's an interesting.
But you're stuck wherever you stopped when the storm stopped. You know?
Yeah.
That would be pretty satisfying, parking that thing for good. Just
Yeah,
Right.
right?
finally
Because-
sit down.
Right, because then the power's done. It's not moving anymore if the storms
Yeah.
are gone.
So you feel like you have a home now, like for reals. Like,
Yeah. That'd be kind of neat though. Like years later, you're playing in that world, and all these different cities have that same machine in the dead center of them.
yeah.
That'd be
And they've
neat.
all grown so different, you know?
Yeah.
Their cultures are so different.
That's pretty cool. I think Adam hit it with it. It's always, I think, with a post-apocalyptic, you want that like bittersweet ending. Something is ending and a new thing is beginning. Whatever that is, because that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like the world that we knew is now ending. There's been this time period where we're growing towards something, and now it's ending. Because
A
my initial,
rebirth and yeah.
right, my thought was to bring it smaller, and it was more maybe the characters. Like you were kind of mentioning, Skrat, like the characters all had goals. They've gone through that, and they've grown up a little bit. Things might not have changed, but there's a hopeful outlook. But there's always got to be continued challenge ahead of them. But that also fits with what you're saying. It's just the world now is in that stage versus the small.
Let's say your whole story and game could have just been getting off that factory into a different one. Like you had a terrible factory you were in.
You were in a vault. You were in a factory with everybody who was named Dave. They all looked the same. They all.
I thought it was Gary.
There was a Dave and a Gary, but Gary was the one that was the clone one.
Yeah. Gary.
That does present a fun hook, like especially for a traveling one, because the Garys could purposefully be the Gary. So we'll say the Steves, legally distinct. So the Steve ship would all be Steve. They'd be smart enough to do the things, but it's almost like a instinct that they're doing it. So It's one of those, that would be interesting to encounter a Steve ship. I wonder if those were common enough that they would actually be the raiders. That would be... that the clones are the raiders. Interesting.
Dun, dun, dun.
Alright.
They're
Well,
called
script-
the betas.
Beta. Well, how would you end your thing, Skrat? How would you think it would end satisfactorily?
I know what I'd want to do. I'd want to go. They find out that the storm was man-made, maybe even intentionally, like there was some malice behind it, and then that's just the dirty truth they're stuck with now. Because I like being mean to the players. But
Dark ending.
yeah. But I would still like to give them some individual personal journeys along the way, which is a little off topic here. Something I learned. I ran those 2 campaigns, and they were each almost about 2 years each. And the first campaign was very character focused in the sense they all went on their own personal journey, each player did. And then I just tied that all into an overarching quest line. And then the second campaign we did, it was, nope, here's the story, you're going through it. Probably just about any character could have done it. Like, that's almost one you can bundle up and give to somebody else. Whereas the first one, there's no way that you could have done that because they made it more or less. And the first one, they said they had fun in both of them, but I could tell the first one was infinitely more fun. Like, they were way more attached to their characters, way more invested. So I would want to the story focus on their characters, and that storm would just be kind of a side thing happening.
And there is, I think I like both endings as an option, but I think you can take it where you don't decide at the first. You decide instead with how the players end up going, and then you decide which ending you're going to shoot for with the players, which one you're going to work towards with them. That way, you can get the best of both worlds. I do personally like the idea that the storms aren't stoppable, but that also doesn't mean that you can't, at the origin of the storm thing that's making them, have a map. And now you know where the storms are going to be. So you still give them hope of having the routes. Now they know the routes. They don't have to worry about the different things just popping up out of nowhere. They can know the routes with a certainty of where things are going to be. And maybe they find little pockets where they just don't route to. And that's where they can set down this city. So you can have both of the endings merged together. And then it's tricky. I prefer not necessarily darker endings, but I prefer endings that have an emotional impact, and an emotional impact for the players and the characters. The players are going to feel good when they stop the storms, or when they find the safe places in the storm tracks. But the PCs will too, but it won't be a personal feel good. It will be that we've saved the world type of thing. But what did that do for my personal goals? It's still tough. I'd still like to incorporate some kind of personal thing in there, unless that was their whole goal in the first place. One of the players' goals might have been to stop the storms. So, in which case we get the Pride Rock ending.
Yes.
We have that slide come down. All right. I think we've handled Skrat's final question sufficiently. Let me see. I believe it's time for us to get into the outro. Still don't know what I'm going to title that segment, or if I'm titling it anything. It's just an outro. So, I am Adam L. Spain with the Interplanar Crossroads. All of the Interplanar Crossroads content is supported by travelers and viewers like you. If you like it, you can check out our YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Twitch, subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, PayPal, Locals, or Patreon. All of those things lead you to us and help us with support and such. We have with us a Skrat from A Squirrel Plays, who is yet to release his line of snacks, but that's okay. We just pitched it to him in the bloopers, so you'll see those eventually come out. Who knows, by the time they come out, that may be his merch. It's bags of nuts. So, we'll see. So, a Skrat from A Squirrel Plays. We also have Dan and Kristen from Avenue Studios. You can check them out on YouTube, Rumble, Patreon, or Locals. To get in touch with them, Patreon and Locals for the support, and YouTube and Rumble for the viewing pleasure. They've been doing a lot of lives, getting views and such. And Tales from Elsewhere is our Levi's spotlight this time. You can check them out. Final check on their score of subscribers, 675. So there's 675 right now. Go ahead and check them out. Subscribe if you would like. Give them a like and a comment so that they know who sent you. You can put, say, the Interplanar Crossroads / or Skrat from A Squirrel Plays sent you. So there you go. And I believe that's everything from us. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.